Thank you for coming. The Krikorian campaign and Mr. Krikorian appreciate the opportunity to set the record straight. And Mr. Krikorian would like to make a brief statement, and then he'll be available if there are any questions. Thank you. David?
Thank you, Caroline. Politics can be a nasty business, and many of us have been on the hurtful end. While we have to take it like adults, this, however, is different. I must respond to the false accusations of racism leveled against me by Representative Jean Schmidt. Ms. Schmidt has accused me of denigrating the ethnic background of an opponent at a VFW gathering earlier this month. Charges that are patently false. Ms. Schmidt, a Republican, has interfered in the Democratic primary race with her false and reckless statements. With that said, I would like to introduce Mr. Evan Saines, who is a member of VFW Batavia Post 3954 and was present when I addressed members of the VFW prior to their regular meeting. Mr. Saines has sent a letter to Ms. Schmidt voicing his strong objections to her false and reckless statements. Ms. Schmidt, by the way, was not even present at the meeting in question. In addition to Mr. Saines, two other VFW Post members who were present at the meeting, Mr. Edgar Sims and Mr. Kenneth Cook, have also issued statements supporting the fact that Ms. Schmidt has misrepresented the truth. Copies of these three letters are being made available to the press. Mr. Saines served 3 tours in Vietnam as a Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy and is a first-class petty officer. Thank you. Thank you. And he's a registered Republican. Mr. Saines, thank you for being here with me today. I know you'd like to read the letter that you wrote to Ms. Schmidt, and I'm going to ask you to do that now.
Okay. I'm writing this letter to set the record straight regarding reckless and false accusations leveled against Mr. Dave
Krikorian. That's okay.
Prior to our regular meeting, Mr. Krikorian addressed the memberships of the VFW Post 3954 in Batavia, Ohio on Friday, April the 2nd, 2010, to discuss his candidate and U.S. representative for the Post membership. I attended this meeting and was very impressed with Mr. Krikorian. Please let me be clear. At no time did Mr. Krikorian make any disparaging or offensive remarks about his primary opponents. I am concerned that you would make such an outrageous assumption given that you were not even present at the meeting to hear Mr. Krikorian speak. I would think that a sitting U.S. representative would be more careful with the facts than you have been. For your information, I have served in Vietnam as a first-class petty officer in the United States Navy, and I am a registered Republican voter. Respectfully, Evan A. Saines Jr.
Could you spell your first and last name while we have a chance, please?
First name Evan, E-V-E-N. Last name Saines, S-A-N-N-E-S.
Hometown community is what?
My hometown is,
Where you live now?
yes, I live in Monterey, Ohio.
Monterey, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saines. Thank you very much.
I hope this is...
Now, with a name like Krikorian, Really, I'm not about to belittle anyone's name. Mrs. Schmidt, it is you that owes our constituents an apology. I regret this diversion from the important issues that are facing our district, which I'm sure the constituents of our district would rather we be debating. Thank you very much, and I'll take any questions that you may have.
David Snow, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There were also letters from the heads of Claremont County and Hamilton County Democratic parties. Do you have a response to them as well?
You know, I can't speak for the heads of the Democratic parties. I know, however, that the heads of those parties used Representative Schmidt's false allegations as the basis for their statements. So I would assume that now that we have shown that Representative Schmidt did in fact misrepresent the truth, that those party chiefs may, I don't know, you'd have to ask them. I mean, her letter was the basis for their statements. And
Actually, David, it goes a little deeper than that.
Does it?
Talk to Tim Burke, the party chairman of the Democratic Party, as you know, in Hamilton County, who says he's been told by reliable people who have heard you say on the campaign trail, someone with a name like that could not get elected in the 2nd Congressional District.
I would have to say that is patently false.
Let me ask you about Claremont County Party Chair Dave Lane, who tells us you said that to him in a conversation shortly after Yalamanchili announced his candidacy, and that the reason he spoke out, he tells us, is because when Jean Schmidt's letter came out, it sounded hauntingly familiar to him. He suggested us he let it go the first time, but then when that came out, he had to speak out about it.
I'd have to say that Mr. Lane is, I think, all I can say is that is entirely a fabrication. In fact, I have not spoken to Mr. Lane for many, many months, and all I can say is I think he's made it up. That's all I can say.
Well, as a follow-up to that, Dave, I mean, we did talk to Tim Burke as well, and he said that, yes, there was Jean Schmidt's letter, but there were also several people, not one or two, but several people that had heard those statements from you. He's not quoting from Jean Schmidt, he's quoting from people he talked with.
Sure.
Same answer?
The same answer, Tim. I think that, you know, people can say or suggest that they heard all sorts of different things, just as Jean Schmidt has obviously recklessly lied. You know, we have folks who were at the very same meeting who said, absolutely not, that did not happen. So, you know, I have not spoken to Chairman Burke. Frankly, I find it a little surprising that Mr. Burke would make these assertions without ever even coming to talk with me in the first place. Never even provided me the courtesy of a telephone call. He's never mentioned it. And if this was an issue, as the leading Democratic candidate, one would think that he would at least mention it. He's never mentioned it at all. And if he has been receiving these kinds of false allegations, you would think that he would at least mention it. He did not even mention it. He rushed to judgment. He cites specifically Jean Schmidt's letter. It's almost as if, to a certain degree, he's using Jean Schmidt's letter as the basis for his allegation, which he cites specifically in there.